How's it going, YouTube? Chris here, my home theater. Got a brand new video for you this afternoon. I was up in the wee hours of the morning, could not sleep, and this subject that I'm going to talk about was just on my mind. And I laid in bed for a couple hours just dwelling on this subject. And I want to talk to you guys about my journey in this home theater thing that we got going on. I know I touched early on, it's probably been 3 years ago now, on some of the things that that we went through in this journey. And but this may be a long video, but I just want to share some things. uh I know, you like I say, Youth Man covered a video, and that kind of jogged my memory here a while back about it, and he touched on some things that, I mean, our journeys are very similar. And I mean, mine's different, but very similar. So I guess in the early days, as I was a teenager, you know, we talking about in the 80s. So freestyle bikes, that was me. RC airplanes, anything electronics. My generation, when we come along, we saw video games come out. We saw home computers and internet and cell phones. And I mean, there was a time when we didn't have that, but our generation has saw that stuff. So from very young, I had Pong video games, the video game Pong, which was back in the 70s, I believe. I had a Commodore 64, Tandy 1000 computers. I mean, these are computers, some of your first home computers that came out, and video games. And I had a Panasonic 3DO. These were the first CD-based games. That was back in the 90s, early 90s. And then, of course, you had your PlayStation and all that stuff come about. So my early days, I was always into electronics from youth. Video games, TVs, loved movies. Went to the theater and saw Star Wars 1977, 6 years old. Went to drive-through, I think we saw Jaws. I mean, I remember going to the movies, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Gremlins. I mean, Friday the 13th, any of these movies, I could just keep going on and on. So movies and electronics was always a passion of mine. So fast forward to my teenage years, car stereos. I mean, I had, I'd get in there and wire these things up, because, they didn't have your connections to just, connect up to everything. You just had to figure it out, and that's what I had to do back in the day. So I always had car stereos, big subwoofers in cars, amps, and it was just always a passion. I just loved sound. I loved bass. You could call me a bass head. I just always had that stuff. Rockford Fosgate amps. Sony made good amps. Rockford Fosgate speakers. I mean, those were the pinnacle of back in the early 90s. So I got married, and we lived in a single wide trailer. And I wanted a big TV. My uncle was a TV repairman, so he always had access to all these big TVs, and because he was repairing them and stuff. So I was like, man, I want me a big TV like that. So I went and bought one. I think it was an RCA projection TV. And I wasn't happy there. I said, man, we got to be able to hook. And I didn't know what home theater was. I mean, I had seen some stuff, but just being able to access it and get it and have it in my home, I didn't know how to go about it. So I think I bought a receiver. I ended up picking up some speakers somewhere, and I had my very first surround sound. I mean, I was telling people where I said, man, you got to come to my house, man. I got me a projection TV. I said, I actually got some speakers hooked to it. It's called surround sound, man. You know, come check it out. And they did, and they were like, ooh, ah. I mean, it was new. New to me, I guess new to them. Nobody in this area had even thought about doing anything like that, as far as I know. So that was kind of the kickoff to my journey. I wasn't satisfied with just a TV or anything. I had to have a bigger TV, so I got a projection TV. and then I wanted sound. So I had that for a while, and then we bought a double wide. So I had a bigger living room, and of course I went out and I'm trying to remember. I think I bought a. Trying to remember what I bought. I think I bought one of those Sony Vega TVs, 32. It was a Trinitron 32 XBR or something like that. Man, the TV weighed 175 pounds. It was massive, but it was 1080p, just come out, and I ordered it from a place called Sound City in New Jersey. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Wish I could remember his name. But anyway, I ordered a lot of equipment from that place. So I bought that. I think I picked up some, surround speakers and so forth and so on. So I had a little system going on. And then later on, I ended up getting a Toshiba widescreen projection TV. And the Sony XBR may have come after that. So let me back up. So I think I may have ended up getting the Toshiba, because it was not a digital TV. It was just a widescreen analog projection TV like what I had back in some years before that. And I got my hands on some Technics THX speakers, and they only had one sub. The speaker stacked on top of the subs. They had a powered 8 or powered 10, passive 8, or one or the other like that. And then I bought some back surround speakers because around that time THX Surround DX come out. So I had a older, I think I bought an Onkyo, then I upgraded to a Pioneer VSX, maybe a 26 TX. It was one of the new THX Surround DX. So I was able to see and kind of go through some of all this stuff. I know I'm skipping a lot of stuff, man, but I mean, so with this system, it went through a lot of iterations, uh, but I ended up getting rid of the Toshiba TV. I think I got a Sony 57-inch projection TV after the little 32-inch, and it was high def. They had to have the set-top box, if you guys remember that. And I had a Super VHS VCR Sony. I had a Sony Laserdisc player. I had the Sony DirecTV set-top box that could pick up my local channels. I mean, there wasn't hardly anything playing in HD at that time, but you had it. And so, man, just being back in the early days of that, man, I went around and bought laser discs. I mean, Camelot Music. I can't remember the other bookstore that I used to go to, and then I heard something about DVD, which, I mean, I had all these magazines and stuff, so I mean, I was already into home theater, and then I heard something about DVD coming out, so I went to might have been Electric Avenue or Circuit City, or and then Best Buy finally come around to our area, and Best Buy was my least favorite of the stores. And then I saw what DVD is. I was like, really? This little disc plays this movie, and it looked that good. I said, I'm in. So I bought a DVD player. I mean, when technology come out, I was able to buy it. I bought it when it came out, and that's how I did back in the day. And I bought every DVD that they had, every DVD to come out every Tuesday, every Friday. I was at the stores. I was at Walmart. I was at any kind of store that sold DVD. And back then, they were hard to find because they were just new coming out and stuff like that. But I had that system. I think I ended up selling my Pioneer. I had a full THX system. I sold my Pioneer. I got a Sony, a DA70S, great receiver, just a great receiver. And it was integrated 7.1. I kept it for a while, sold it, and ended up buying another Pioneer, and it was a 7.1. So I didn't have to have the amp like I did in the first receiver, like we do now. It was a 5.1, 7.1 processing, so you had to have the 2-channel to play the back surround speakers. That's how it was, and the same way we got now. I got a Pioneer, it's a 9.2. You got to have the extra amp to play the 11 channels. So that's how they work, and they still have that today. So I had that, and man, just to see the technology coming around. Of course, Laserdisc went out, and man, I loved my system. I had the two subwoofers, and then I bought a Velodyne. I know back in the day, Velodyne was a real good subwoofer, and I shoved it in the corner, and man, I about blew that little double wide trailer apart, man. It is just, I had probably, and this is back in mid to late 90s, and then early 2000s. Um, Basically, um, they had Dolby Digital THX Surround EX or Dolby Digital EX. Then they had the DTS ES, and then in 2004, uh, I just want to be careful with some of the things I say about my personal life. So um, we started going to church. I'll leave the other parts out, but we started going to church, and ended up 14, 15 years later, it ended up being a cult. But in that time, you couldn't have a TV. They didn't want you to have movies. They didn't want you to have this. They didn't want you to have that. Which I was always in the cars. So I had my buddy around here that does body work. He called me the original Fast and the Furious because I had the cars like on the Fast and the Furious with the racing seats and the 4-point harnesses and the chromed out motors, ground effects, Lambo doors. I mean, that was me. I mean, I wanted, and I still like cars. I mean, y'all guys know that. So the cult church, what do you want to call it? They didn't want you to have none of that. So I sold. I had an Acura Integra, I had a Civic, I sold that. Then I sold my complete home theater. All my movies, all my Laserdiscs. Now I had a bunch of movies on DVD that was worth a lot of money. I mean, I had every Disney movie. These are first run DVDs that came out. And when I posted them on eBay, they sold in like 5 minutes. And I couldn't believe what I got out of them. It was unbelievable. But I wish I still had them. I really do. I mean, first run DVDs on Disney. I had all the Super Bit DVDs. I mean, any movie, any and every movie. I probably had 12, 1,300 DVDs, and that's early 2000s. I don't know how many was out at that time, but I had a lot of them. I mean, if I still had that collection, and I'll get on another point later. So I sold everything I got. So I was out for years and years and years. And somebody in church got a PlayStation, and then they say, "Hey, you know what a Blu-ray is?" I kind of heard something about the Blu-ray, but I didn't follow it like I did. I didn't. And so I bought another TV. I bought a Vizio. Don't think it was 4K. I just think it was the 1080p. This is probably 4K come out, I think. So I bought that, and then I bought a PlayStation. Then I started looking around, and I found me some speakers. I bought some Definitive Technology BP 2002 TLs. Now those speakers were bad. They were bad. I always loved Definitive Technology. There's two sets of speakers that I've always loved, and that was those first gen Definitive Technology BP series, BP 3000s, 2000s, 2002 TLs, and right on down the line. Those speakers are still amazing to this day. So I bought a set. I bought a CLR 2300, had the powered sub in the center channel. I bought the BPXX2s. I had 4 of those, and I had that thing set up on the Onkyo. I always liked Onkyo and Pioneers. That's just what I've always liked, because back in the day they were really good. And I had that for a while, and then ended up had to get rid of all that stuff, so I ended up selling it. So fast forward a little while further along, I tried to get back in it so many times, guys. So I kept my movies from when I had that, and I may have sold that stuff and then went out and bought a Samsung Curve TV 3D. It was not 4K. I didn't buy a 4K TV until we'll get to that here in just a little bit. So it was Curve TV 3D, and I had every 3D movie to come out, every Marvel movie. These were first run movies, and first run's always important if you're a collector. I mean, not that you're gonna sell them, but first runs you get the slips, you get all that stuff is really important. Some if you miss the first run, you won't get a slip or other stuff. So I ended up selling some movies, and I won't tell you what I did with the rest of them because it tears me up to think about it. Because I'm a big movie collector, guys. You know that. So got rid of all that stuff. That was probably 2014, 15. I had no idea of Dolby Atmos, DTS:X. I didn't even know that stuff existed because all I had, and I had this TV tucked away in my bedroom, so if the cult leader come over, they wouldn't see it. So sure enough, he finds out stuff, and I ended up selling TV, selling some movies, and getting rid of the rest, and I'll leave it at that. So a few years goes by, and we ended up leaving the cult. And when we started going to another church, I said, and we had already moved into the last house. And when I moved in there, we had this big room, and I guess you guys know the big room I'm talking about. So I set up I went and bought I bought a 4K TV. It's a little Hisense 43-inch, and my son actually still has that TV. That is a fantastic TV. It's awesome, but it's small, but it's got a good picture. But the really big first 4K picture TV that I bought was that, and I'm using it in my living room right now. It's a Samsung Q6 LED, and I'm telling you, a QLED, and that is a fantastic TV. I will never get rid of it. I mean, I got a Q60 in my bedroom, which is a newer model, and it can't have. It's not as good as the Q6. The older model's better. So I built this surround system in this sunroom, and had windows in there, and I made panels to plug into the windows. Had the vinyl in there, and guys, you can go back and look in my older videos. I mean, some of my very first videos from 2019. I started getting back into this home theater thing, and then I was like, "What is Dolby Atmos? What is this thing I'm hearing about?" So I said, "What is DTS:X?" I mean, so now pause here, and I will talk about back in the early days. I researched and I read, because there was a lot of reading and researching that can be done back then in magazines and stuff. I read any kind of home theater magazine. I think audio, video, interiors, home theater. I mean, I can't remember all the names. I had stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks. And one big misconception, and I posted some stuff on TikTok, and somebody said, "Oh, you rich, you rich, you rich." And back looking through those home theater magazines, that was the exact same thing that I said. Now, we talking about back in the uh, uh, early 90s and stuff. I didn't make no money back then. I mean, I was probably making $6 something an hour, $7 an hour, $8 an hour back in the early 90s. So to get anything, I was doing good, but that was where the economy was at back then. You can make $100,000 a year now and be struggling. That's just where the economy is at now and stuff. I don't want to talk political. But I would always think, man, these guys were rich. And some of them were, because if you went back and looked at what they were running, some of them, I mean, they look like real movie theaters. And which, I mean, we got that, not mine, but we got guys that I know that's got stuff like that. But back then, man, they had these Runco CRT projectors, $100,000 a piece, and they were running two of them with Judah line quadruplers and Meridian processors and Lexicon processors, Creel. I mean, that stuff was expensive, but that was the pinnacle of stuff back in the late 90s, early 2000s that I can remember. I mean, those were the things that when I saw, I was like, wow, that's what I want. I want an MC12 Lexicon processor, or DC1 and DC2. That was the older model, but the MC12, I think I'm calling the numbers right. That was the pinnacle of the stuff back in the day. And but so I mean, I did a lot of reading and research. So when I got back in after I bought this house and we got out from under the thumb of a cult, more relaxed, and I was like, man, I said I'm gonna build my home theater. And you can go back and look at my videos, and I talk a little bit about what I wanted to do. So I had that little room set up for a while, and then I want to think it was in January of 2020. Okay, let me back up here. So in my research, trying to figure out what this was and what this was, I did some reading and stuff. But I was like, I wonder if there's anything on YouTube about home theater. So I started doing a little search, and a few people popped up, and I subscribed to them off the bat. And one of them was Michael Stevens, Youth Man. I mean, when the picture come up, I was like, man, look at this home theater. I mean, you know, the screen and the Scalas, and I think at the time he might have had the dual clips subs. I mean, this was way back, but he had the beautiful, you know, woodworking like he's got on there now. And I started watching the videos. I was like, man, I like this guy. You know, I mean, just how can you not like Michael? Okay, how can you not like him? So I started watching his videos, and I subscribed to him, and started looking around, and I found Chris Murtaugh, the home theater dude. I subscribed to him. I think he ended up finding China D. I guess I'm saying that right. Take no dad. I found him. So I found a lot of what I call the mainstream big guys. But back then, I found Gene Delasara on Audioholics. I mean, these are guys. I mean, let's just face it. I mean, the home theater community is because of those guys, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of guys have brought things together, brought things to light, and what we have today is because of him. And I want to say thank you to all those guys. And I know I'm probably leaving names out, but I mean, these guys, all of them, every single one of them, was instrumental in not only me wanting to get into home theater, but wanting to get into doing a YouTube. Michael Stevens is probably he's my biggest person that I looked up to, and I still do. Great guy. He was just so instrumental, and I told him way back. I said, man, I love how you do the YouTube channel. I would love to be able to do something like that. I'm not. And over the past few years, maybe I've gotten better, but I'm not there. I'll never arrive. But I mean, I try to do the best that I can do. And I know I'm going off on a tangent and all this stuff, but yeah, man. I mean, these guys were instrumental in their videos and watching what they do and how they do things and explaining things, and it helped me in my early days of getting back into it. Because I mean, when you're in the home theater stuff, you got to kind of stay up on this stuff because things kind of change. And I ain't gonna say that it changes rapidly, but I was out for, I mean, really for about 14, 15 years, and a lot had changed. And I'm like, whoa, you know, I mean, I really didn't know what HDMI was. I didn't. I mean, I had seen it. I'm like, what's this? I mean, but I had been out for so long, and it was funny when I went to the cult. He knew I was a sound guy, you know, home theater and electronics and stuff, and he wanted me to run the soundboards at church. So I had to. I mean, we built a building, and I wire up all the sound and run the sound and connect all the stuff. I mean, it's It's ironic and funny, but I mean, so I had a lot of knowledge. So, but getting back into it, all those guys were so instrumental in helping me get back into home theater. And it's still, I still have to figure things out. There's still things I sit around, I scratch my head. I'm like, what in the world? How do you do this? How do you do that? I mean, I don't know it all, and I'll never know it all. But man, I built that other home theater. I started my YouTube channel, and well, I already had one started, but I mean, I started ramping up, and I'm just a greenhorn filming videos in portrait mode, and I think Shane Lee posted on there and said, "Hey man, let me give you some advice. Turn that thing on landscape mode." I think Michael Stevens said landscape mode. So I mean, that's just being a greenhorn, and I think Shane also said about looking into the camera, and I'm bad about doing this, so I apologize. Um, I try to focus in on you guys, but I just talk sometimes I just look around, but anyway, um, all those guys have been so instrumental and helped me, and but getting back in the home theater and building the stuff, man, it was awesome to announce that I was going to build a dedicated home theater, which is something I have wanted. This was in 2020, and in 1990, I was looking at this stuff. So 30 years in the making, 30 years, and to be able to document my journey and share it with people, and people was like, "Man, that's pretty cool. You working pretty fast." When I was right, I mean, it was right in the middle of COVID. I had a lot of time off work, so things did go pretty fast. And man, just to be able to build my home theater and then to have Use Man subscribe to my channel, I was like, what? I was like, that's pretty cool. And he's helped me out. He announced to some of his people that, man, to subscribe to my channel and stuff like that, and he didn't have to do that. And I mean, I'm still honored about that. And man, through that, I've met Tony James and Barrett, the Specatech, and Two Guys Tech. All you guys, man, I swear, just awesome YouTubers, awesome people. And I've had the opportunity to speak to some of you guys on the phone. And man, I don't take stuff like that lightly. I mean, you guys are awesome, and you challenge me to be better at everything. I like better at what I'm trying to do, because I see how good you guys are, and I was like, man. So I try to do better on stuff, but anyway, I built my theater, and I got to meet a lot of awesome guys, and I'm hoping, and I'm gonna meet some of you guys here at Audio Vice. And but man, there's so many of you other guys. I just want to shake your hand. I want to hug your neck. But yeah, built all that, man, and getting things um, situated where I wanted it. And then, of course, most all everybody knows, man, life kicks you in the gut, and ended up I had to put my YouTube channel on hold. I had to sell my house. Me and my wife, we got a divorce, and it was not something that I wanted. It's not something that I did. It was all. I mean, I don't want to get into that, but it was something that had to be done. I was able to save my electronics. I got to keep everything. The only thing that I didn't keep was the screen. I left it in the house. I did give the new owner option to buy the stuff separately, and he didn't want to spend that much money. I was like, cool, I'm not giving it away. And because guys, you know what I had. I had pretty decent stuff, not top tier, but decent stuff. So I had to put my YouTube channel on hold and put everything on hold for about a year. And And where I was renting at was supposed to buy that. It had a nice garage. I was going to have the ultimate home theater in that garage. I even done a video on it. And I mean, that thing was going to be so awesome. It was going to be just as big as what my last theater was, but not as ceiling, not as tall. And things just fell apart right after I said but I needed to try to shoot some videos to keep my monetization. And I shot that video, and it wasn't a week after I shot that video, things fell apart. I'm like, really, really. So to make a long story short, and I told you guys this is gonna be a long video, but it wasn't long after that. It just seemed like everything that I was trying to buy or buy, it wouldn't work out for one thing or the other. And I sold some of my electronics, and I got good money out of it, and I bought this house. I feel like the Lord blessed me to buy this house, and the room that you see around me was one of the reasons why I bought this house. I still have a 2-car garage out that way. My house is this way. It's 3 bedrooms, bath and a half. It's not a big house, but it had this room. And this room, I said, it's going to be my dedicated theater. And I bought this house actually next weekend while I'm at M-Wave. Not M-Wave, at Audio Bias. Next Saturday will be my 1 year from signing the papers on this house, August the 5th. It's hard to believe it's already been a year. And then 1 month after that, it was September, I started on this theater, and it took me just, I don't know, it didn't take me but about a month or so. And then by October, November, and I've worked on a little bit along here and there, and now it's just at a, I ain't gonna say a standstill, but I'm waiting till things cool off because it's so hot here right now, and I can't get up in the attic. I can't run wires. I can't do things like I want to do right now. But guys, I guess I wanted to share my journey, and I left a lot of things out. I really did. But my journey has been good. Now, I've done some videos on how to buy stuff cheap, because I'm not rich. I mean, I'm a blue collar worker. I am a mechanic. Uh, I have a lot of people that come in here and say, what do you do for a living? They look at this home there like, what do you do for a living? I'm a mechanic. I work on machines. I'm a lead technician. I troubleshoot. I overhaul. I do. I get grease all up the hill everywhere. But I'm a mechanic. But I love home theater, and my dream. I don't play the lottery a whole lot, but if I ever won the lottery, people say, I'm going to this, I'm doing that. I said, I'm opening up an electronics store. I want to work in electronics because that's something that I have a passion about. Movies and electronics, home theater, and I just love it. And you don't have to be rich. You don't. You can buy, sell, and trade. See, I left all that stuff out, and that's what I did. I bought, sold, trade. You get online, you find a good deal, and you get a really good deal on it, and you keep it for a while, and then you sell it, you make a couple dollars, you take that, you add a couple dollars to it, you get something else. Now, a lot of people can afford, and a lot of people can wait to just buy once. And if you can do that, that's great. That ain't how I worked. I wanted certain things, so what I did is I run out and bought this, I run out and bought this, kept it for a while, sold it, I got something else, kept it for a while, sold it, and I make money every time. Now, I'm not going to buy anything that I know that I'm not going to be able to make at least a couple dollars or my money back. So there's a lot to this thing unless you just genuinely have the money to do it. And you don't have to be rich. You don't have to be rich. There's the secondhand market. There's a lot of good deals out there on speakers, projectors. If you don't have to have the latest and greatest, hey, look, I bought an Epson 5025 UB. Look, brand new in the box. Bought it from an older gentleman. That gentleman he's about 80 years old, and I bought it from him. Hey, I used that projector up to 4, 5, 6 months ago. Whenever I got this 5040 that I got now. Man, I didn't pay a whole lot of money for it. I want to tell you the deal on that Pioneer receiver that I got, but I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you. But I mean, you know, hey, I bought a Sony player. That was an open box, the X800. That was the first gen, not the second gen. I mean, $150 at Best Buy. I mean, that's how you buy stuff. I mean, speakers. Crutchfield has open box, scratch and dent. A lot of my RTIA9s, man, I bought them things for like, I think I bought $269 a piece. That's way back now. You can't find them for that now because they already discontinued them, and people are asking big money for them and getting them. I bought two this year. I paid $750 for two used. But I mean, the secondhand market is good, guys. You don't have to be rich to have a home theater. You don't. You can start out small. I mean, I had a sound bar. I didn't like it, but I had one sound bar and a subwoofer. But it's in a bedroom. I mean, I know people that's got surround sounds in their bedroom, and I like it. I don't have it, but I like it. I've got a living room set up, I just can't get around to fixing it. I got RTIA9 CSA6. I got two Polk 10-inch subwoofers. I got two Polk tower rear channels. I got in-ceiling speakers. I'm running my Pioneer receiver in there. I got a Sony 4K Blu-ray player. I got Apple TV, 65 inch. I mean, I got a nice setup in my living room. I love home theater, guys. I love it. And man, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you watched it all the way through, and you kind of learn a little bit about me. I love movies. I mean, I've got over, I don't know, 22, 23, 2,400. I don't know. I haven't counted. 4K and Blu-ray and a few DVD. Most of them are 4K. I mean, just 3 shelves, just about slam full of movies. I'm just a movie guy. I got a passion for movies. I got a passion for home theater. And it's y'all's guys' faults now. The guys I mentioned earlier, it's y'all's fault that I'm like this, because y'all have I mean, I always love home theater, but to see what you do and see how your passion for home theater, and it rubbed off on me, and I just want to be all in, and I do, and it's hard when you can't get all in. I want to be able to travel around and go and do this and stuff. I'm not there yet. I'm gonna be there one day. But I love the industry. I love the people. For the majority, everybody that has it commented on any of my videos has been awesome. I ain't been a whole lot of negative, and I know there's negative people out there, and it's the bigger you get, the more negative. That's just how it is. But I love every one of you guys, all my subscribers, all the guys that I mentioned earlier, that has been so instrumental in my journey. I appreciate y'all. I do, and I just love this. It's a hobby, and man, it can be a full-time job. And what's the old saying? If you're doing something you love, you never work a day in your life. And with any kind of electronics and home theater stuff, that's how I would feel. Man, I'd work my fingers to the bone and never felt like I was working. I'd work 10, 12 hours at my job 7 days a week and be dead tired. I'd come home here and work 10, 12 hours in the heat and stuff like that and be refreshed. That's just how it is. And I've loved my journey, and I'm glad that I'm able to share my journey with you guys, and I hope you liked it. We're going to stay in this house for about 8 more years. I'll be 60 years old. I'm gonna be 52 come November. We're gonna stay here about 8 years, and we're gonna sell this house. And I'm gonna give the option. I don't know what kind of electronics gonna be here. I'm gonna give the option, and I'm gonna build me a barndominium or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna buy me some land. I'm gonna build me a big old giant shop, and I'm gonna put my house and my home theater, and I'm gonna have a place to park my toys, my cars, uh, stuff like that. So you better believe my next home theater bill gonna be on down the road. Now it might come earlier, guys. It might come earlier. Something might happen. Somebody might leave me some money, or I might hit the lottery if I ever play it. And then hey, we might retire earlier than that. But but no, my next home theater build is at least a little over 8 years down the road, and we're going to do it up, because that theater is going to carry me on out. That'll be my retirement house. That'll be my retirement theater, and then that'll be uh, what I have hopefully to the day I die. If I don't die before then, or die while I'm building. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm telling you, I was up the wee hours of the morning thinking about some of the things I wanted to say, and I left a lot of stuff out. And I can do other videos on it, on how I built my home theater, how I do stuff, and I've kind of done a video like that before. But I mean, I can do stuff like that, and maybe that's something I need to do, give you guys content. But guys, that's my video today. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, man. Like, again, I love y'all guys. I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for you, and I appreciate every one of you. So guys, that's it. Y'all have a good weekend, and we'll see you again in the next video.